have an interesting episode on the motor. Now, there's been a couple iterations to this motor a few times, actually lots of times. As I said in a previous video, I initially was going to start with a Hayabusa engine, and then I decided to go for a high-powered front-wheel drive engine, which I started looking into prelude engines, so the H22. Then I sort of found out that the K-series engine is a lot newer and a whole lot better, so I went for that. But in a lot of my CAD drawings, I'd already sort of allowed for the size of the smaller engines. So that's going to bring us to our first problem with this build. Nothing we can't overcome though, so that's going to be fine, but it's a problem. So, for a start, we got the blue Integra. It's an S-type with a K20 in it, but it's a K20A3. Now, I later found out the K20A3 is like the eco version of the K20. So, unfortunately, this means that I bought a crash car for no reason. Hopefully someone else will use this motor. Like, it would be an awesome motor if you're wanting to do a K-swap into a Civic, but not boost it later, not put big power through it. So I got this motor and we pulled it out of the car, and it was a really good running motor. Here it is here. I'm going to use it as a mock-up engine, and it's just interesting looking at it like plastic intake, and the exhaust doesn't flow that good. Well, it does, but not amazing. So it's got a 5-speed gearbox on it. The other engine I have has an LSD and it's a 6-speed. So now we're going to look at that. So now I've arrived, ignore all the mess at the moment, but this is a Euro R engine with the 6-speed LSD gearbox, aluminium intake, a lot shorter. It's already got some things to increase the spark, and it's a whole lot better engine. So I'm going to be much happier starting with this, because I know it's going to be able to handle a lot more of what I want to do to it, and I want it to do a bit because I want this car to be fun. So now that that's sort of sitting there, I was bringing in the rear subframe to meet up with it, and I think we have a little issue just here. So it's just hitting the side of the motor. So I might just have to change the end of this rear subframe a little, which is fine. Hopefully I don't have to go too far. Otherwise I'm going to have to start changing how this arm mounts in. But that's not the end of the world either. So I think I'm just going to crack into it now. Start chopping it apart, because I can always rebuild it and find out the best way to mount this motor into this frame so it's nice and center. So something really exciting has turned up in the mail, which means I can actually do this. I would have liked to have done this a long time ago, but these guys here came all the way from America, and I ordered them throughout COVID-19, so that made them take a little bit longer. But what this is a 500 horsepower axle, and this end is K-series, and this end is EG. Now I got these ones, they're a little bit dearer, but they're 500 horsepower axles, so I'm hoping to be able to put that sort of power through this. Oh, okay, I'm not wanting to go that far, but I'm hoping that these axles will be able to handle as much that I can throw at it. And maybe launch on it a wee bit too. So now what I can do is I can try and fiddle that axle in here and one in here, and try and line everything up and see how much I actually have to remove from this corner to shove the motor across to where it needs to be. quickly update on how the install of this motor is going. For a start, I have crap lying everywhere, so it'd be really nice to get it in so then all that stuff's out of the way. Over here I've been doing a bit more work on the rear subframe. I've strengthened it up. I've added this bar in here and actually made the bracket that the lower arm attaches to up in there. Now this is the first engine mount that I've made. It's just one of the stock rubber ones at the bottom, and it bolts on into the stock mounting points on the k20 here, and picks up the same 3 holes as their normal main rear engine mount. It's probably a little bit overkill. I've got these here to try reduce some of the weight, but also so I can get inside there to get to that bolt. So that makes it, hopefully it'll be easier. There'll be lots going on in that area, so I'm trying to make everything as easy as I can now. Late in the night here, and after spending all day yesterday and this evening, I've finally got the engine sitting in the position that we want it here. I've measured up for the front mount that's actually going to attach to the frame, and I've got this mount in place. I'll spin the camera around just here. So I got that one that I've shown you before in place. As you can see, it's on a little bit of a lean. I've got the jack under there, engine crane holding it. I'm not just going to be able to finish these tubes here. So from where these tubes are here, I'm going to sort of build a plate together, gusset it up in here, make it look nice. Maybe make this piece so it can unbolt so you can get into here easy. And then those plates will tie from here down into the top of these. So I'm thinking I was going to bolt it here, but now I'm going to weld it onto here and have the bolted flange up here, which will just make it easier to pluck that thing out of there. So there's so much work to go, and I'm really trying to push a big effort in now and get it closer. So sweet, so I've got the motor now sitting in under its own weight. It was a real headache. I run into a bit of an issue where this back mount here has the 2 holes in the top and 1 in the bottom. And what I did was, being lazy, and I just put the top 2 bolts in, and then I was lining up some of the other brackets. I hadn't realised that when the weight actually came down on the car, or the motor into the frame, this bracket actually sort of bent back a little bit, and it meant that the two side ones that I'd just lined up were completely off. So I had to go back to the drawing board and redo both of those side ones. So they're both half done. I'm going to do another outer plate. And this mount up in the front here is looking really good. I'm quite happy with it. And it's just holding this main front one. Alright, so now that I've got the motor in all mounted, what I need to do is connect the top of the rear subframe up to this tube of the frame here, and then have another tube that comes from over this side into the top of this plate as well. So this side just has a rectangle plate, and the other side has this sort of odd shaped plate, so it fits around the motor and also shoots out and supports the engine mount on this side. Then both of them on top are going to get a plate like this. It's just going to mount straight on top there. It's got a couple of holes in the back so I can access these bolts. And the tubes are going to finish on that plate there. So it's just a nice way to land it. They also have little strengthening plates that are going to come inside here like this, just so then it all fixes together with enough strength that if there's a push down through these, it'll withstand it. So that's tonight's goal anyway. Sweet, so now what I've been working on is I've gone around and made sure the floor is level, because with the weight of the motor here this was sagging a little bit. These ones that I've just put in here are kind of helping hold it up. So now that I know that it's all right, I've cut and bent this one here, which is going to sit in here. Now originally I had it planned that it was going to go from this point straight up into here, but the problem is if I try to do that from there to there, it's pretty much touching the motor, and I've been scratching my head a lot trying to work out how to clear that and make it look nice. So the plan is to put this bend in here and brace it back into here, which I think will look quite nice. And at the end of the day, I think the turbo is going to be sitting about here, so it'll look quite nice. It'll look like it's almost shaped around the turbo. So now I'm going to finish welding off these onto those, so then I can work on this bit, get this tacked in, and then I'll start making this. I've just put the motor back in, all the mounts are welded out and it's sitting in there really solid and exactly where we want it. So it's awesome to get this step done, because now we can start working on the next step. Sorry about how long it took to get this video out. It's had a whole lot of other things going on in the background, so there might be another video come out quite shortly. Putting some of these bad boys in, these shiny bits, and getting this thing rolling so we can push it up the road. Stay tuned.